Andrew Kohinka, and I'm here with Sad Halen. Who are you?
I'm Sarah Shoemaker, and I play bass in Sad Halen.
I'm Ben. I play the drums.
I'm Ziggy, and I sing and play guitar in Sad Halen.
Ben, Ziggy, and Sarah. I'm so glad to be here. I've read a lot about you guys. You guys are pretty freaking crazy. Yes. The first thing that I gotta get out of the way is the wall of amps. Just the amount, just kind of how much of a gearhead you are is almost intimidating. It's just say the.
Nerd. I'm a very big. I'm a pretty big nerd. I really love stoner rock. I have an infatuation with old rock and roll, heavy metal like the cartoon, the idea of 70s rock. And I'm immensely in love with the Seattle grunge scene, and also stuff that came out of the underground area of Seattle, like bands like Unwound, bands like Tad. But also I love huge big amps, stuff that Mac Pike would use, or things like that. Just kind of like muscle car gearhead ideology, but towards amps.
That's dope to hear. It's interesting you point out Unwound. It's almost weird. I just started listening to them about a month ago. Repetition is insane. I love the production on it. But yeah, I've been listening to your guys' Frens EP a lot, and your early SoundCloud recordings, and they're both very different sounds. Frens is a little bit cleaner than your SoundCloud recordings with Joywise. So I kind of wanted to get into that real quick. Were you guys part of Joywise? I know there was a lineup change, no?
Yeah, we're the newest iteration of Sad Halen, and Joywise was the foundation, the birth of what would be. So that was all Ziggy in the beginning.
Yeah, we really joined 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So before that, it's pretty much all Ziggy. And you want to tell that story?
Okay, yeah. So there's this guy named Chris Wood, who plays in a few different indie projects. He had a group called Night Watchers, Lonely Island, but that was already a band name that was taken. He had it.
I don't know.
He discovered it a little bit later, But he had all these different ideas, and we were both. This is 2008, 2009. We were extremely into the Ravenettes. We had a friend who was in some bigger bands, and we were well, let's make a record. So we started recording. I was doing some really dumb, trying to do a production company with kids who were DJs. A few years later after that, and eventually we started working on a record, and that was about 2010, 2011. And we kind of started working out Upstate, which was basically a record kind of based upon the idea of living in Corning, New York. Chris at the time, he was working at a IT company, and I was working a bunch of weird cooking gigs, and we were just trying to make a lo-fi album that was listenable, but also kind of creative in a way that was also a DJ album. There's parts in some of our songs off Upstate where everything just breaks away and it's really messy, and then there's birds chirping, which was actually my alarm to get up in the morning. Yeah. So we kind of put that in, and then we started getting really into lo-fi equipment, so we bought these Sony mini disc boards, which are actually behind you, and just getting into home studio lo-fi recording, but trying to bring the most fidelity out of it. And so we both ended up moving to North Carolina, working on the project. We buy a bunch of vintage amps, and then unfortunately for Chris, he had a job change and he had to leave North Carolina. So I hung out in North Carolina for about a year to raise enough money, and then we found each other again, and we went to Florida, and then we just banged out an EP within 2 months. And then that was Upstate under Joywise. And then, Chris sadly had to move again, just for work, everyone's got to pay bills, And then I found these guys. So I kind of picked up off of like some old material I had from that project, and that became Frens. Then we met a gentleman named Bob Hershberger, extremely smart, talented. He's worked with plenty of people, and it's a lot cleaner, more put together. It was very, I imagine, very frustrating and hard for him to work on because we were such a fresh band at the time. We weren't, we were all just learning new stuff. Like we basically, how I met Sarah was I was doing flyers for shows I go to at the time, and then out of nowhere on this couch we were like, yeah, let's we'll just I'll join your band. So then I started teaching her bass.
You need to like manage your art. You were like, like help me get my art into places, and then you were like, I'm also like looking for people to be in my band. I need a bassist and a drummer and another guitarist. You were basically saying like, it's just me. And I was like, why don't I learn one of those things? Yeah.
Yeah. And then she was an extremely quick learner, and she picked it up very fast. She didn't have her own equipment at the time. And then, she got this bass next to me donated to her. And then, I threw some equipment at her, to get her started. And then she just kind of, started sculpting her own ideas, kind of in suit of what we're doing, because it's the influence around her with her own influences. And she's come really far. And then I met Ben. And when I first met Ben, I was extremely intimidated because I heard these early recordings they did with other bands. And I was like, oh, fuck, he's, really good. Shit. He's really good. And when he came over for the first jam, he set up his kit and was like this, what kit do you play?
Yamaha. It's a Yamaha Oak Custom. So it's a nice kit. I treated myself, for sure. Does it go on?
Yeah.
Treat it like you designed some of the drum heads, or
No, I treated myself like I spent some money on it.
It's like a Cadillac of kits. And because it's made of oak, it's supposed to be especially loud.
Yeah, it's at the time it was like the loudest production kit just because I was playing in a band, had a big sound, and we didn't play in places that mic the drums a lot. So I needed to project. And so I bought that kit. And it's been good to me. I've had it 11 years, but that was a good meeting.
It kind of followed up the whole idea of him being in a band that was really loud. That information I found out later after we jammed, after a bunch of sweaty guitar riffs and being super nervous on a first date with someone.
that is adorable, by the way.
Yeah. He's very good. He's very good. So but that connected with me, the idea of being loud, because when Chris and I started the band, we were just we both got really into stoner rock and doom metal and stuff like that. But, we wanted to play these poppy, riffs and these shoegazer riffs, but through those tones and that loudness and that warm vintage sound. So that connected with me where I was just well, I love fucking scary towers, and this dude already plays loud, so that's great, But eventually later, I don't own a van right now, so there are some limitations. You can't move a wall of sound without a van. So we have cute little vintage amps over that we use
to shows, over here.
Yeah.
This little stack.
Yeah, so that little stack over there is Sarah's amp, and it's a ripoff of a Japanese company, Univox. It's a copy of a copy, basically, and it sounds really great. Every time she plays out, she's constantly harassed by bass nerds. We're like, oh, what's your amp?
Yeah.
What is that about?
And I have no idea, and I'm just like Ziggy. like I know now, but in the beginning I didn't know because I was so new to just playing bass and music in general. So I was like, man, I don't know, but it sounds good, right? We can all be on that level together.
It's funny too. It's what's funny about it too is when we have when we play shows to people and we have to let them use their gear, some of the bass players, they see it and they question it, but every time they play through it, they're excited. They're like, what was that? And then I personally get excited because it's cool to see different styles go through something the way it sounds. So it's just everyone's like, dude, don't worry, I won't blow it. I was like, there's no way you're gonna blow that amp. Like, it's not gonna happen, you know. But it's very, you know, exciting just to see other people use the gear and then, you know, get kind of turned on by like this equipment that has like some weird voodoo in it, you know.
That amp stays cranked up all the time, right?
It only, the way we use it is we have the volume all the way up and the tone all the way up. There's only two knobs and it has
maxed all the time.
it's dimed every show. And that's the only way, that's really the only way that amp will punch through though, is it has to be dimed out. Yeah. And it's just noisy. And it makes Sarah sound like she's three bass players, so it's great.
That's insane. So you use that rig for the recording of Frens, correct? Or you were going through a different stack?
No, we were going through a different stack at Bob's place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time we were using like it was like a orange tiny Terror thing going through like a 8x10 Ampeg that was like super beat up. It was a very, very cool bass stack, and then it was kind of like bled out in different ways. But yeah, he had his like own critiques, his own thing going on that because he has like so much knowledge. Excuse me, Busch burps. But he has so much knowledge of like gear and different things that you can use in problem solving for things that he kind of like, he came out and he saw our band a few times and he kind of like gathered like an idea of what he wanted to do, and he made like a fantastic EP. A lot of people like it. A few friends that I have from upstate New York reached out to me about it and how much they love it. So it's kind of like it's really nice, and it's nice to have that reinforcement of what you're doing is good, you know.
Going back to those early recording though on sound that you have on SoundCloud, I wasn't able to find them anywhere else. But Joywise and Upstate, the recording approach. You mentioned the mini disc behind me, the 4-track that you love dearly. That I can tell. You always mention to like Google it. What's the appeal? Does it give something different to the sound, like when you record? Did you enjoy recording more on that, or did you enjoy the process more with Frens, maybe?
It was kind of like, it's divided. Like with Frens, that kind of felt like going away to a summer camp and learning like a whole galaxy of options and opportunities and ideas.
What a
And
great analogy.
Yeah.
You're so right. I mean, I know it was my first time recording, so it definitely felt like summer camp. That's why I was just like, fuck, everything is shiny.
Camp
Yeah.
Hershberger.
Yes.
yeah, it was like Camp Hershberger. There was like all these, it was really fun. Also, Bob has an amazing house that is really cool because he did the record out of his house. He has all this like extremely nice equipment, and it really felt like summer camp. And then also Bob is like a wizard himself, and he has tons of stories with other bands that he's worked with. And so you get not only the experience of making this record, but you also get the experience of hearing these stories of other records he's worked on, and that's also inspiring in itself. So it's kind of like very storytelling in a way, and like beautiful. While working on Upstate, that was kind of like not like summer camp, but it was more like having a slumber party as like when you were younger, and staying up all night just trying to get this like passion project done. And I remember when we first started Upstate, me and Chris looked at each other. I think we got out of like Gringos Locos or whatever, and I was just like, let's do 2 songs in 2 days. And he was like, yeah? And I was like, 2 songs, 2 days. He's like, you think we could do it? I was like, yeah, I think we could do it. And then we knocked out 2 songs in 2 days, and then we were like, why don't we make a whole EP? Like, if we could do 2 songs in 2 days. And mind you, these days were like extremely long. It wasn't like we just like, it wasn't like 2 hours like we played like guitar. It was like we stayed up all day. We got like extremely early, and then we stayed up all night, and then we got extremely early again and stayed up all night just to get these songs out and done. And then we threw them onto SoundCloud, and I think we tried to rip them onto YouTube as well.
Did
But
you believe that when you said it? When you said, oh yeah, we can do it in 2 days? Or were you like, Oh fuck, I don't know. Like, did you really think you could?
Yeah, I really thought we could do it. I really believed we could do it. Like, I knew we would have to, like, spend a lot of time and get up really early to do it, but, like, I knew we could do it in my heart, you know? And then the rest of that EP was recorded in Mount Dora, and Chris had a little studio set up in his bedroom using the mini disc, and then we used, like, some condenser mics. We had, like, some tube preamps that were extremely old. I can't remember what they were called. And we all bled them into this Sony mini disc. And I think the reason why I liked it so much was I was watching a ton of 90s anime, and the boards from the 90s and the font of the board and just the actual the aesthetic of it was very inspiring to me. Like, the way it looked kind of fed into the idea of how I was going to approach the music. And it kind of shows, you know, like, it's very noisy. It's very, like, I'm inexperienced and I'm trying to figure out how to do everything, you know, but you know, it was actually very exciting to make, and like I learned a lot about what I could do and what I can't do now. So it's like that was an extremely fun record to do. And with Frens, it was kind of more like someone else had to think it, like I just got to be a guy with Frens making the music and playing the chords, and then someone else had the problem solve all the things I had to deal with when I was making Upstate. You know,
It's the really interesting insight into the process. Just being able to remove yourself from the almost technical side of things and just being more focused on the creative side of things, making sure that the material is good and whatnot. I'm surrounded by gear. Like I said, you're an intimidating gearhead. How does that play into your sound? I noticed, like, when you play live, you just are surrounded by pedals. Like, you have like 3 pedal racks, and yeah.
So that's kind of like now I've kind of like shrunken things a little bit, but starting out, like, I put together like a rack. Well, not like a rack, but like I had these 2 pedal boards. Like, one Chris made, one I made when I was living in upstate New York, which is just basically a flat piece of wood. And one was set up with a bunch of like different octaves and EQing and preamp. And then the other one was just like a mixture of like fuzz pedals and reverbs and delays, and then a looper for atmospheric stuff in between songs. Sarah also does spoken word poetry, so then I composed a song and then re-recorded it into the sampler so we could play that live. You know, that whole process is basically just about being able to provide as much color for a live show as possible. You know, it's just kind of like it makes it easier for us to kind of go straight by feel of the tones and the texturing, as opposed to this kind of like going straight and plugging in. I used to be in like weird like punk bands growing up, and where it was just straight in most of the time, and that was very fun. You know, and it was a lot of energy, and you kind of have to conjure all the energy within you, you know, to do that. And for me now, because I'm a nerd, like, it's just fun to have a bunch of like random stuff on the floor that like I like, you know, and just it's just kind of like just surrounding myself with things that make me comfortable is where the pedals come into play.
It creates an atmosphere, you know,
Yeah.
It adds texture, so you don't have to constantly fill the space with banging out noise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it fills us out a bit more. We did start it out as like 4 people, so we did have like another guitarist, but that person had like another project, and so I think like we were, you know, I mean, you already had all your pedals, but like how else can we fill this space? And I think we sound just as full, like in a different way. That's pretty rad.
I think the solution was we were just like, yeah, we'll just give Sarah a big muff.
Yeah. Honestly, I was like, what is this? This is incredible.
And that kind of like, well, I've always loved that pedal. I've loved that pedal since I was like, you know, I heard about it when I was like, you know, 15 or 14. And I think I found out that like Mudhoney used it. And then I found out about the Smashing Pumpkins later when I was like 16 or 17. And I was just like, okay, the muff thing. Like, oh my God. And then, you know, we gave it to Sarah, and then she played it after that guitar player left, and we're like, oh, damn. oh shit, we don't. Oh, okay.
This is Sad Halen. We're like, okay.
And everything changed. And it was like very freeing in that way too. Like we didn't have to like worry about arrangements as much, you know. So it was very cool.
I have 2 words. The Hog.
Oh.
A very sought after pedal from what I can tell. What's the appeal to you? Like, what is it? Like, what's so crazy about it?
So before I met these guys, before I was doing stuff with Chris, I was obsessed with trying to make a guitar sound like a synthesizer. And that kind of comes all back to like the fuzz thing and like texturing as a guitar player and the manipulating of a guitar, and basically not traditionally playing. Like, yeah, like I used to be in like some really thrashy, dirty like punk blues bands, like 2-piece band. Like basically like you get like a dirt pedal into an amp, hollow body guitar, drummer, that's it. And I was like obsessed with that. And we would use like I used like a JCM 800 going into like, there's an old PV cab over there that I used to use, and that's what we play that through. And it was just straight up, you know, rock and roll stuff. I did slide guitar. But at some point when I was getting older, I was like, well, that's kind of like, this is fun, but like I'm bored as shit. Like I need something, I need more. And then like the Pog came out, and then couldn't afford a Pog. I was too broke. I was only making like, I was working this retirement home when I was like 18, 19. I was only making like $180 a week. And then I upgraded when I moved to Corning, and I met Chris, and I was making like 200 something. I still couldn't afford anything. And then eventually, you know, this idea of being able to do like synthesizer stuff came into it. And then actually the love of my life, she gave me a Hog, and I freaked the fuck out.
That's when you knew she was the love of your life. That's when you knew.
Yeah, it was just like instant. And then so with that pedal, there's endless possibilities. And what I mainly use it for is like I use it for like weird octave ups on records. Well, this upcoming record you'll probably hear it more, along with like Rainbow Machine stuff and like a bunch of other different things. But the main purpose of that like pedal is just to have like, you can do chords in weird octaves. There's like a freeze function on it. There's like filters. And you can run it with anything. Like, I'm not just going to use it on a guitar. I'm going to use it on other things as well, you know. So, a lot to look forward to.
So do the pedals influence like the songwriting process? Is that like a very big influence? Or like when you go into the recording studio, is it less about the pedals and more about the song structure, more about the chord structures and the progressions versus live, where you're trying to get those textures and you're trying to fill out the sound? Is it different? What's the trade-off when you record versus playing live?
So, writing, I basically start unplugged. It's usually like me and an electric guitar, and I'm watching cartoons or something on the TV, mostly on this couch or in my bed. And then like I just mess with tunings. Most of them are open tunings. And then I just kind of whittle through a song, and I find like a structure, and I put it together. And then it goes into a different phase where it's like I come out here, and then usually I'll start with like a pedal, and then other things come in the key once the band comes in, you know. So that's kind of like, that's like the process like shortened, you know. There's also like imagery stuff. It's kind of like if I see a place, you know, it'll make me think of a thing, and then like, you know, that goes to like playing unplugged. All the songs are written on unplugged electrics.
That's very cool. So the songwriting process, like since Joywise, since Frens, going into this new record, are you guys working on recording a new album soon or an EP? Like, what's the new songwriting process, and how has that affected new tracks and the process?
So we're actually working on a new album coming out soon. It's gonna be kind of split up a little bit. We're gonna try to record a single with Danger Room and work with them for a little bit. And I think we're going to probably drop like an EP first and then expand onto a record with that EP, like a follow-up record to it. And that's probably going to be done here and then also in Ben's house. And it's kind of going to be like shifting equipment back and forth. I've been looking up in a lot of different weird drum miking techniques. A lot of things that have held me back in the past was I didn't have a drummer. I have an acoustic kit, but that acoustic kit's actually in New York. It's like an old Ludwig. It sounds like crap, but that's a whole different story. But I just haven't had an acoustic drum kit with it, and then a drummer that actually play a kit well. Because like I can play drums, but I can't play drums like Ben. Ben's extremely good. He's very good at accenting and feel, and so now I have that. So now it's like I have to have this whole new learning curve of like, how am I going to make this drum kit? How am I going to make this drum kit sound different from everyone else how they do drums, you know? So like that's kind of like that's where I'm at with it. Yeah.
Any input on like how's the writing process like been for you two? Like being on the rhythm section, being on bass and drums.
Yeah, I mean, Frens was my first like intro into bass at all, so kind of like fucking around on my own and like learning just about our sound and music in general. Like I've been able to like bring in like my own bass lines, and I'll be like singing back up on this album, which is really exciting because I did like spoken word before, but we're kind of like each finding our voices in each way. So I think like Frens was like a jump from Joywise, where it's like that was like us completing that, like, and getting closure on all those songs. And this is like us three, like it is all of our heads together, like in this practice space, or like, you know, Ziggy being like, okay, I brought this, and I'm like, I brought this, and then we just kind of feel it out from there. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to that. It's just really Ziggy brings a riff or a couple riffs to string together, and then we just hammer it out. And it's a very natural process. It's just like, it feels right, and this is what we feel like we should be playing. So that there's not a lot of second guessing or anything like that, which it's one of the rare things in my life that I don't second guess.
Yeah, we come into this space and it's all pretty clear. I feel like Out was written like you guys were jamming something, and then I came in and I started like singing that I just want to go outside with my head off, and then we were like, fuck, we're like, this is a song, that's the chorus. Like,
so out is actually that's one of the songs that's going to be on the newer record that we're putting out, one of the EP that we're working on. So we're kind of trying to put a closure to a time before that, and a current time now, and then move forward and progress into something else. So we got these 5 songs. We got 3 new ones to throw in there on top of Out, and the song Granny Smith. And after that, we're going to actually try to work on a full-length record, which will probably have a bunch of different tricks that we usually don't participate in, but will be very exciting for all of us, you know.
Sounds super exciting. I didn't catch the live stream live, but I saw that you guys posted it, and I caught the titles Out and Granny Smith. It was very tight. The rhythm section was phenomenal. You guys just were holding it down. I noticed that you were going back to the 4-track, maybe to work on the EP, like you said, in the home space. Mm-hmm. You also mentioned like soundscapes and stuff like that. So are you guys trying to experiment more with ambience, maybe incorporating the spoken word in, which I know you do? Is there going to be more of that as opposed to less aggressive, maybe grungy, maybe punky kind of riffs and stuff like that?
So I'm very obsessed with like cinematic sounds. I really love the idea of having these beautiful songs, you know, like these heavy aggressive songs that are like stories themselves, but then when they end, the in-between space, you know? So the in-between space is kind of like going to be like these cinematic like soundscapes that Chris and I would always work on. We would stay up very late together and just basically make noises, different noises, and manipulate them. And it would include like synthesizers, like really bad ones, like the Casios that you would get as a kid in like 1983. You know, I have a few of those, and just like very cartoony sounds, you know, and then smash them through a bunch of different effects and pedals and things like that to make these ambient, almost like pseudo Brian Eno like tomes. Like I have like a whole catalog of like different samples from different artists and different things, like when I was very into like vaporwave music that are all smashed out, and like chop and screw music and stuff like that I want to incorporate for those in between times. But I don't know if we're going to be able to pull it off of this EP currently, because we are going to work with another engineer for like a little bit, you know, and but the record, like when we move on to like a full length, that will definitely be there.
Speaking of vaporwave,
You're gonna talk about St. Pepsi, because I love me some St. Pepsi. I know it's future funk, but don't get me started.
With the straw and the mask.
Please don't get me started on that. Like, I love that stuff so much. Like, everything about it, the aesthetic, how dirty it is, unnecessarily dirty it is, you know, and it's just borrowed music the entire time. Like, yeah, I love that stuff. It's great. It's kind of how Sad Halen, the name, came about in a way. There's a whole story about Sad Halen, but there's definitely, when the name came to be, I was just like, yeah, it's kind of like vaporwave. That'd be like a vaporwave, like a producer name right there, Sad Halen. You know, it kind of has like the aesthetic, you know, established. You know, so yeah, I love that stuff.
Makes so much sense now that you say that.
Yeah, it's in my wheelhouse. Like, I love it. Like the pink, the blue, you know, it's definitely in there.
your shirt flavors, though, one of them was titled Vaporwave. If that was official or not, I don't know. But
that was definitely like, that was an index clue where it was just like, yeah, I fuck with this shit. Very hard. Yeah. Do you want one? You know, because I felt like with the way we were doing the shirts, that was kind of like giving away our influences in a way too, where people could connect to them. You know, it's like, well, we like this stuff. Well, we also like this stuff. We also love really trashy beers.
Yeah, the Natter Day, the dark green, the little grungy, that's Seattle,
Metal, yeah.
The stoner metal, the green and black.
Yeah.
so stoner metal versus vaporwave. If they were like physical incarnations, mage, barbarian, Godzilla, whatever the hell you want to call it, what would they be? And like if they were to happen to bump into each other on the street, what would be the outcome of a street fight?
Oh yeah, who are you guys betting on?
Okay, stoner metal is gonna be a dwarf.
Yeah, I could see that, like a gnarly fucking mean dwarf, but he would have like some stuff behind him too, you know, like, so maybe like weird catapults where vaporwave would be kind of like a mall, just like if a mall could be a thing attacking something,
Like a whole mall?
Like a strip mall?
No, not a strip mall, like a whole big industrial mall of America type thing, you know, very you know, like 90s Gap, and
Ooh, wow.
it would probably be wearing a kimono as well too. It'd be like dressed in Japan flavors, you know, I imagine. So I don't know, that's kind of a fair fight, you know. You have dwarfy, woodsy, catapult launching, mystical forest thing covered in weed leaves versus 1980s and 90s Taco Bell mall food court as a transformer, I imagine.
Yeah, maybe this is like too stereotypical, but I'm gonna go with vaporwave here just because I feel like it's gonna be scrappier. You know, stoner metal is gonna show up as like so much machismo that it's gonna already think that it's one.
Right.
Like when it's coming with the wall of amps, but then you know when you're gonna throw in your rainbow machine and like it's like the fairies in A Midsummer's Night Dream. They're just gonna put you to sleep. You know, you're done.
And vaporwave has the whole 1980s and partial, like maybe to the mid 90s behind it. So, yeah, I think you're right, sir. I think it's gonna be vaporwave that would win.
And culture.
Yeah,
Like the torture of the 80s, but the culture of the 90s.
I think the warrior embodiment of vaporwave would be a neon samurai.
A neon samurai? Oh my God, Ben!
With
yes.
a plasma katana. And just like,
oh,
Is this everyone trying to tell me to watch Kill Bill because I haven't seen it yet?
You haven't seen Kill Bill?
No, I haven't.
good film. Regardless of how you feel about Tarantino.
I put that on our story the other night.
Can I walk away? Does anyone need like a refill or anything? Or
I do. Please.
yeah. Okay. Let me Cigar, do you need anything?
You need a Busch?
I'll take a Busch.
Okay, I'll get you a Busch. Yeah.
So,
Straw.
yeah, I'll take the straw. I like that aesthetic. That was dope. Busch. So, what is the infatuation with Busch? It's the official.
It's
Wha-
cheap and it's
yeah.
not bad. Like, that's it for me, honestly.
I think it happened either we were playing a show at Will's on a Monday or we were watching like a show of our friends. I know that like Angelica's band, Kinky Prawn from like Titusville, they played on a Monday, and we normally get like PBRs when you get your drink tickets, but they're like, it's $1 Busch. And I'm like, well, I don't know what Busch is, but it's $1. And so we got it, and I was like, this isn't Coors Light, but it tastes like, what is it? It's this the Appalachians instead of the Rockies, like with Coors Light. I was like, this is the Appalachian Mountains. That's what Busch is. It's the water from Appalachia. Yeah, I don't know.
I personally like Busch better than Coors.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
You have a favorite like preference of like mountain range? Like,
I've been in the Smokies. That's the only mountain range I've really been in.
I haven't been in the Smokies. I'm from Pennsylvania as well, so I feel like I'm partial to the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, go to North
but
Carolina, man.
Yeah,
I recommend that for sure.
I
Go
know.
hiking.
I feel like
Okay, so this is for you.
dope. Thanks.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very, very welcome. Hold on, I have a surprise. Oh, God. Oh,
Hey!
Champagne!
gosh.
Oh my gosh.
incredible.
We also love champagne. So it's like kind of like tequila, champagne, and Busch. My personal infatuation with Busch is, well, I grew up in upstate New York, and it's very woodsy. And I grew up in a small town called Horseheads, and I lived
I
there.
didn't think that was real when you told me that. Like, I Googled it, and I was like, sure is Chemungah County.
Yep, Sherman, good old Chemung County. And so I grew up there, but it's weird. You're either kind of like this pseudo-Canadian guy or like you're a pseudo-Southerner. There are kids who live out there who have Southern accents. But I left Horseheads and I moved into this town called Pine Valley, which literally, if you blink, you will pass it, right? So kids out there are just savage. They party in the woods. They go crazy. They drink Natty Light and Busch. So for me, it's kind of like an homage to like some weird like kid drinking in the woods thing. But also, the real reason why I actually like Busch so much was I was hanging out with this band called Mars Wagon, and they had a different name at the time, and I was playing bass for them. And the lead guitar player in it, and also lead songwriter, I think he's like an alcohol rep or something, but somehow he got a hold of like a whole suitcase, which is a 24 rack of Busch. And so we plowed through this whole suitcase of fucking Busch Light together. And then we woke up the next day with no hangovers, and then we went to go record on his record. So then after that, I was like, okay, so it's Busch Light. That's what I can drink way too much of if I get irresponsible and not
it's
feel
beer
like
flavored
crap.
water.
Yeah, it really is. But we were fine the next day.
Yeah.
We got definitely to a point, though, where we were listening to, like, Rolling Stones records that aren't very good.
Whoa, very smooth. Let me get some cups.
Yeah.
So from all the way up to New York to the drink tickets recently, just having to get Busch, it has become the official sports drink of Sad Halen. Is that accurate?
I believe that is extremely accurate.
It was kind of a joke at the time, but it's accurate. Like, I like good beer. I like IPAs. I like, Kolsch's. I like a good flavorful beer. But if I'm just hanging out all day, Busch is what I go for.
Yeah, it's a very good day drinking beer, or just a good show beer. Because I'm so nervous. I'm like in the alley behind Will's, like doing high kicks and like calling my mom before a show, and so it's like I can't like have anything that's gonna like,
thank you.
make me.
We actually had knobs made.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I noticed the little like pedal and amp knobs of.
You want me to grab them for you? Because I just reorganized the whole space for the record that we're working on. Would you like to see those?
Oh, I'd love to see them in person. Oh,
yeah,
my
yeah.
god.
I'll
Thank
go
you.
grab them.
The little baby Bushies.
Oh, little
Yeah.
baby bushes. It's blocking the whole camera.
Nah, dude,
Fine.
the camera's fine.
We always try to be like really conscious of other people that we work with. So Excuse our over forwardness with politeness. But yeah, so there's a company out of Scotland that I can't pronounce. It's on the box if you want to read it out loud.
Wait, can you give us like an attempt?
Gorgira FX?
It sounds like some sort of Godzilla.
Go.
I think it literally says Gojira.
Yeah, Gojira.
I don't know if I got it right. I'm very like...
Yeah, Gojira.
Yeah. You know. Side note, grew up with a speech impediment, so I get a little worried sometimes.
You're good.
Doing great.
Anyways.
I've
the knobs that we have. We had these made for us. Usually he does like Simpsons themed things and Futurama themed things. So usually the thing that kind of turned me onto it was he had cans of Slurm. I don't know if you're familiar with Futurama. Love that show. And I was like, well, if he could do Slurm, maybe I should hit him up and just be like, hey, can you do Busch? And I just thought it would be funny. And I got done like the whole thing that kind of inspired that, which is, it's gonna sound silly. I was watching a ZZ Top documentary, and they were talking about the time when they became these guys, like as a band, and they figured out like their shtick, you know, and not like as like an acting thing, but just kind of like as like a bondment of the characters that they are and how great of a band they are, and it was like their beards or something. And they became these like cartoon versions of themselves or whatever. And I was like, well, how can we like do something that's like an inside joke for us that's inspirational, and it's kind of like, you know, it's funny and people can like, you know, dig on it. And I was just like, yeah, we'll make a bunch of Busch knobs. That'd be like dumb. Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even when I look down on my big muff and it's all the Busch tabs turned all the way up, like, you know, sometimes it has to be a little like inside out character work. Like, even if it's just for you, that's gonna make you play or perform or just like feel better at like as an artist.
Because I feel like you want to make like a little nest up there when you get on the stage. And I feel like we've gotten better at that as the years have gone by, and we've gotten more comfortable and gotten to know the local venues and stuff, where now that we're kind of like just going straight forward into doing our own thing and doing whatever we want, not you know, catering or anything, which we never really did. But you know, it's just now we're more comfortable and it's easier for us to be less shy about stuff, you know. So having these like Busch knob inside joke things, and the idea of like, we love this redneck beer because we're like these weird redneck punk rockers, you know, I kind of like that, you know. It's kind of like it's like it's just something that we can tie into our roots but also bring forward, you know. Yeah. And
also get sponsorship money from.
Yes.
I'm just gonna
What's up,
look
Busch?
Hey, can you guys, dear Busch, please bring us free Busch. Much love, Sad Halen. Thanks.
Busch, it's the official like sports drink, so you have to sponsor them. I think.
We sweat Busch. Like
do.
it is my electrolyte. My only electrolyte intake of the day.
It literally powers you.
Yes.
I had a couple questions for you regarding your poetry and stuff like that, your spoken word. So Orange Blossom, the video, opens with like a 74-second snippet of you performing spoken word, correct?
Yes.
I like some of the lines in there. What was the inspiration for that, and like where did that come from?
Wow, that was something I had in the notes of my phone. I remember it was you and Nick and I, who used to be the other guitarist, and he's in Grizzly Adams, also a great band, and Saucers Over Washington.
Sauces Over Washington.
Saucers Over Washington, get that?
Fucks. He actually fixed Nick. He fixed up my old Sunhead that I bought.
When you came to Florida, right?
I foolishly bought that amp. I did not have enough money to buy that. It was a very dumb purchase, and I slept on a floor for quite a while because of that, but it was worth it. Anyways, Sarah was saying.
yeah, we wanted to use just like an intro or beginning, and so I scrolled through my phone of all these notes that I have of just like poems or just like little quips that I've written down, and I was like, this feels solid. And that was like 3 years ago, and I have never changed it since, surprisingly, because I feel like a lot of the things you write, you know, you kind of like, oh, it's a rough draft, it's a rough draft, but like it really always felt as powerful like as it did as the first time that I said it. And I don't think that I realized until I performed it live that it was like about a lot of like obsessive behaviors that I have seen in my past, in like my family and also in myself. Like, you know, a lot of the lines are like the 1, 2, 3, or just like a lot of these things that, like, when I wrote it, I didn't think about that. I just wrote it. It just sounded good. But, you know, it's not until you like put a mirror to yourself that you're like, oh, that's like
why I
what,
wrote that.
right? Like I wrote that because that's about me. That's about my family. Yeah.
The line that particularly stood out to me was grapes in the fridge next to the celery. They have their place. They don't commingle. Something like that. I'm butchering it, but I loved it. What?
You got it. Wow, you're so awesome. Yeah, the grapes have their place next to the celery in the fridge. They're not to commingle. Like, and I think that like I said, I didn't realize that about how much control I was begging for and shouting for in my life. That, you know, when you like you have your meals, like things don't touch, like you need your order. And so that's how I just wanted my life to be, or I want my life to be, is that you want to have this huge sense of control. And it's not until you get to the end where, you know, you realize that even like something by its name is not really that thing. That's just a name. You know, like you, like when the poem starts, that everything you want to be in order, you can call it whatever you want, but that may not be what it is. And I think that when I heard Orange Blossom and that was going to be in front of it, it fit so fucking perfectly. I was like, this is how this poem sounds to me. Like, I know I'm speaking it and there are sounds, but like, this is how it just feels through every bone of my body.
I borrowed an idea for that. There's this band called the Drop 19s, and I believe it's the song Iowa. And I might be wrong. Might be very wrong. But in the middle of that, towards the end, there's this part where it's just, there's just a spoken word, and they're kind of just doing like, you know, their shoegazey thing under it. And I was just like, well, shit. You know, I have this person who could do spoken word. She could perform. She's very good. Why don't we try to like make that a thing? And then we made it a thing. And it was cool to be able to pull that reference and use that as a resource to like make it like happen. So it was, you know, like she facilitated the whole idea, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think there are new ways that it feels every single time that I do it, which is exciting. Like, we did one show at Uncle Lou's. I don't know if y'all remember this. It wasn't when my foot was propped up, but I read a different poem.
Really good show.
I read, I read a different poem, and because I was like, oh, people already know this one, or it feels stale, and it definitely felt wrong. Like, that poem, it like is Orange Blossom, and I feel like every time that I do it, like sometimes I want to shout, sometimes I want to cry. You know, you like discover new things within it, and then what follows with Orange Blossom is also different every time. So
I was wondering, like, were you playing in other bands before this, or were you doing spoken word? Were you performing that stuff and keeping notes on your phone regularly? Like, what were you doing before Sad Halen?
I was just keeping notes on my phone, trying to write songs for my friends' bands. Like, I played the clarinet for 12 years and I can like read music, but it didn't bring me any closer to like writing any of my own music. And so I just thought I was gonna be like a spoken word artist. Like I've been to Austin's once and then like I did my shit and I left. And I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. This is so terrifying. And I kept trying to like send my stuff to other friends and be like, this is a great song. This is a great chorus. This is like, you know, these are lyrics. And they were like, okay, but like, what are the riffs? What are the melody? Like, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I was like, can't you write it the other way? And all this stuff. And it never worked out like that at all. So I was just wanting to, I don't know, maybe I accidentally like manifested this. I always have wanted to like play in a band and perform music. I like always did theater growing up, so that's why I'm super comfortable doing spoken word and all that jazz. But yeah, I have always wanted to like write my own songs and like kind of getting the confidence from y'all and
Oh, we love you, man.
yeah.
You're amazing. Quite talented. And also, the great thing about having Sarah in the band, she is very articulate with words. And she's very good at feeding you ideas. And for me, I kind of approach things kind of as a person who like raps, like who does like freestyle for like lyrics. Like if like a lot of my stuff like rhymes in some way. And that's just because like I do have a love for like hip hop and things like that. So her poetry, the way it's like very confident with like the words that she uses are great, beautiful jump points and also really great inspiration fuel. You know, she's kind of like kindling to a fire. Like I'll be like, well, here, I got this line. What do you think of that? And then she's like, oh shit, that's great. And then she'll like throw a line back. I'm like, okay, that's fucking really great. And then I throw one back at her and then she's like, oh shit. And then we just keep doing that. And then we get stoked on the energy. And before we know it, we actually have a whole song written, you know? So that's really lovely, like to have that partnership with someone, you know, as like an artist, you know?
Yeah, like I've never met people who have like everyone else was like, well, call me when you pick up a guitar or like get an acoustic and learn how to write it and then bring it to me. And here it's just like, okay, I have some words, you know, or Ziggy would be like, I have this riff, do you have words? And I was like, fuck yeah, I have words. Like I have so many words, you know? And so I've like just never met a group that we've all just like coalesced so much and like have made me feel so confident to share that side.
Yeah, I feel it too. Like we have this chemistry where there's no bad ideas. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And it like we literally just create together as one. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I love that, you know, where even if like the stuff that I remember like while we were writing, like Sarah started picking up and just writing riffs on her own and bringing riffs in at some point. And we're like, okay, that's like 3 songs in one. But we took all of those and we split them up. And we're like, okay, we're going to make songs out of all of these now. You know, so it's like, it's just everyone kind of brings their own fuel. Like Ben sometimes will just like throw out a beat while he's warming up for a practice. And then I'll jam over it. And that becomes a song itself. You know, so it's a band that's really based on feel at this point, where when it started out, it was very conceptual. It was very like, okay, this is like the method, like this is the method that we use. This is the engineering that goes behind it. This is the logistics of how it is. And now it's kind of become this thing where it's like I've taken all that knowledge of like how they cover all the logistics of things and then all the method of things and then also use all the feel as well, you know. And on a side note, Chris is actually back in Florida, so we have like this hovering presence that will be helping us out with all future endeavors as well. So that's kind of exciting as well. So we just have all these resources of inspiration and fuel to build fun songs and have fun, you know, because I feel like that's what it should be about. It's just we just want to make stuff and be happy with that stuff and share it with people, and then lift other people up as well.
Of course. So Chris was part of Joywise, like way back when. Your New York days or North Carolina days?
Both.
Both.
Yeah. Me and Chris started working on stuff around, I would say 2009, 2010. It's kind of blurry when we actually first met up. I remember we jammed in the basement of a house in upstate when we first started doing things. The first song we ever worked on was called like From Another Room.
Yep. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, it's like super slow divey sounding, and that's when him and I got obsessed with pedals as well, and like the whole texturing thing, and really discovering basically like our style of making music. And then that kind of helped me evolve into like working with these guys at some point as well. Like I could bring all these tools that I've gathered, and now I have all these people that basically, like I as well, solely run on feel, you know, which is amazing. And it's not common. I've worked with like I was talking about, like the punk blues band. That was more like the guy I was working with in that. He came from a background that was very educated and very about like kind of being traditional and solidarity in that tradition of how he played his drums and everything. So I would have to accommodate to that to like, you know, make those things happen and play different and basically work complete opposite of how this is. So this is all about just straight intuition, straight feel. If it sounds good, it feels right, then we're running with it. We're not worried about the fidelity or if it's you know, kind of sounds off. It's more about, what does this emote to you? How does this appeal to you? How does this access you? What imagery does it bring up? You know, that's kind of like what we're trying to do now.
Is he? You said he's around now. Is he going to be maybe rounding out the band sound as maybe like a fourth guitar or like a second guitarist, or was he?
So he's not really gonna. He's gonna be more involved with kind of like behind the scenes work. Okay. He's gonna be helping out with like the engineering because he used to help me engineer my early records. He's just kind of gonna be like the cheerleader of the group. Like he's gonna be bringing all the joy that him and I had working on those early records, and then he's very excited about this. He's very excited to be here. So he's gonna kind of be that. He's always been this guy when I was working with him, and we were doing those long extreme days where we would get to probably like, you know, take 20, and he'd be like, well, take 21 sounds good, but hey, you know, maybe just one more. You know?
I'm the same way.
But like in a really positive, like comforting way. And you would be stoked to hear that. You'd be like, yeah, that was really good, wasn't it? He's like, yeah, dude, it was awesome. Let's just try to do another one.
Be better.
Yeah. You know, he's such a cheerleader. He's such like a good energy into a room, you know. And also, he loves all the things that we love as well. Even from like movies to, you know, inside jokes, and also just music in general. He's like, you know, he's in those first songs that we wrote for Frens, you know. So like him and I actually wrote Big Sky Now together, you know. So, and you know, little bits and pieces of Florida Flannel. So it's kind of nice to have that guy in the background looming in a positive way. You know,
in a positive way.
Yeah.
That's the name of the album. That's 2021 is looming in a positive.
Looming in a positive. I think so. You know, what a side note, great day. You know, to have an interview.
Yeah.
Crazy positive vibes going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of a historic
sense of
thing.
relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's over.
My question for you, Andrew, is how do you feel about this situation? Are you pretty stoked? You know.
About life?
I'm joking.
Are we Joe Biden winning the presidential?
Well, on life in general, you know.
Right. I mean, not
today.
particular on Joe Biden. We're not all stoked on Joe.
Yeah.
You know, we're not.
Yeah.
But like, it's a step.
You guys are Biden fans or Bernie fans?
Yes.
I believe in some of the things that he does.
I'm Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez 2024 fan.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
That's a very popular camp friend.
Yeah.
I'm a Pisces who likes long walks on the beach.
Exactly.
I am totally apolitical, but fuck Trump.
Yeah.
I feel that. So, Ben,
Yes.
you've been very quiet.
I'm usually pretty quiet.
I feel that.
He's like the silent Beatle.
The George Martin.
Oh, yeah. He's not Ringo. He's not a loud guy.
No, Ringo was loud and obnoxious, but Ben here he's got the George Martin behind the scenes kind of. Maybe a George Harrison.
Ooh, I would say so. I call him the Beyonce of the group because he's such a good.
No,
Well,
if I have something to say, I say it. But usually, I'm just taking everything in and kind of like, adding to the picture.
And that's totally respectable. You've been very in the pocket. It's almost like you play drums or something.
Yeah,
That's great.
I approach drums kind of like I approach life. It's like you don't always have to be in everyone's face. Sometimes you can hang back, and that's pretty. Yeah, I kind of approach everything the same way. It's just very straightforward. If I have something to say, I'll say it. If I have something to play, I'll play it.
Oh.
Now it all makes sense.
That was so good.
Off the cuff.
But that's like everything you do is off the cuff and it's awesome.
Yeah, like whether that's a fill or I'll just like look over and I'll be like, fuck, that's good. Fuck, I'm not playing the right doll. That's good. But you were always so.
Intuitive.
Yeah. Perfect
Yeah.
word, intuitive. Yeah.
And that's really how I play. That's how I make up the beats. Is just like if it feels right, do it. And I'm like one of the amazing things about music for me is just being able to be in the moment and turn off thoughts and just feel the music and react accordingly. So that's where I come from.
What's really cool about Ben as a drummer is he's very willing to adjust to anything. And at first, when I first met him, because I want to do like some electronic-esque things later, and this was like maybe year one, I was like, hey, are you okay with like playing like an electronic kit? And he's like, I don't care, whatever, yeah, totally. I was like, oh, okay. Because he's so good, I was very intimidated by how he can pick up a riff and adjust. And if he doesn't hit that mark, you're like, well, that's really rad, but what about this? He's like, oh, dude, okay, yeah, totally. And then he shifts like a gear. It's like he internally turns a knob, and he's just like, oh, okay, we're going this way. And then he clicks it, and then it becomes like this solid thing. Like, he can do anything. He's a very, very solid drummer. Like, just amazing, And he's also very accommodating.
How's it feel being so gassed up right now?
Kind of weird. Like, I'm a little embarrassed, honestly. Like, I feel like this is the Ben show right now.
No, Ben, like you have an incredible compass, like inside of you where you like only go where you want to go or you feel is right or you need to go, and like that's why I feel like you're like the compass of the band, where your opinion on recording or live or whatever is always raw and genuine. And it's like, again, this is my first time playing bass, so I didn't even know that I should look to the person who's playing the drums, but I'm glad that I'm looking towards you. Like, I know that you always have my back.
I'm glad I'm looking towards you. Oh, what a moment.
Yeah,
Lovely.
I feel the love right now for sure.
Yeah, Ben's extremely humble as well, but extremely talented. So, he's very good. Very good.
You did mention that Ben here has been playing in several other bands before you joined Sad Halen.
Really good bands. Really good bands.
Yeah, I've been playing since '94. I was in high school. My first band It's called Zoe. Nobody knows it because it was a high school band.
Dope name.
After that, I kind of had a hiatus from being in bands. I tried to practice when I could on my own. After that, I did kind of a 2-piece acoustic screamo thing with a friend I met in college, and that didn't really go anywhere. And then from that, I answered a Craigslist ad for a drummer for a kind of arty math rock band called Snails and Folklore. That was like 2005. And that lasted for a couple years. We played locally quite a bit. It was just really weird out there stuff, and it was fun to play. Didn't really go anywhere. After that was Bestiari. That same friend from college that I played with before started a band, and it was all instrumental, ambient post-rock stuff. So what Ziggy was saying earlier, like soundscapes, and that was huge. Just musical catharsis, just like it's just about the music, nothing else.
Sick.
So we got some recognition locally, and that was cool, but it lasted 2 years and didn't really go anywhere. And then I was in a band called Portals with the bass player from that band, Bestiari, played guitar and wanted me to play drums, and we kind of rotated out bass players, and that lasted for a couple of years as well. And that was more like kind of sludgy post-hardcore stuff, and yeah, didn't really do much after that before Sad Halen.
Did you find Ziggy from Facebook, like that post?
Yeah,
It's incredible.
So Ziggy posted on Facebook, anybody want to play in a shoegaze band? I was like, yeah, I'll try it out. So I answered the ad.
That's actually Nick's fault. Nick from Grizzly Adams also saw this over in Washington. That was kind of like his encouragement. He was like, well, we need a drummer, because he, wanted to build this really cool fucking project, and now he's like doing like these awesome things. And at the time I was just like, well, I don't know, like I don't think we have like the things to accommodate like a dude that good. Like I don't know, like, because when I did all the drums for that Upstate record, I had to do them off a Casio. I had to like I basically had to do these like really weird finger formations to do like a kit, like a whole drum kit, and play drums in my fingers. And I was just like, I don't know if that's gonna work. Like in my brain, I was like, I don't even know if I'm that good. And he's like, come on, dude, just like put it out there, see what happens. And then I do it, And then this guy, he sends me his Bestiari stuff. And I think the first song I heard, I can't remember the title of it, excuse me, but it begins with him like on the toms, like the floor tom, doing like this crazy roll thing. And I was just like, ah, shit. Like this guy, this is the dude that replied to the ad. Like this guy, fuck me. Like he's really good. So like instantly I just got super nervous. And then he came over and we jammed some songs. I played like some older riffs for him, and I had a few like lingering punk riffs and stuff like that. He rocked them all out. And he was willing enough to continue the band, and they'd be like, oh yeah, man, I'm down. Like, I'm into this. And that was like me and Nick, and then I was already working with Sarah a little bit, and then we put all this together. But yeah, it was quite intense, like the whole process of like Ben coming in off a Facebook ad, But yeah, that was mostly that was Nick. That was Nick who encouraged that. So yeah.
Very interesting. Kitto Kato. You love Kit Kats.
Oh, I do. I love Japanese Kit Kats because I have like a Japan obsession. Yeah.
It's only a slight obsession.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty up there. Like I love all the typography. I like I like how Japan takes in music from other countries and kind of warps it into their own ideologies. I really like how they approach like the indie music scene and the punk rock scene, and or the dance music scene or disco or anything like that. There's a lot of disco songs I really love out of Japan. Their whole ideology for things that I've noticed, at least when I listen to these records, or I don't know if it's their ideology completely, but it's just everything that I do here, it's done with a sense of quality and timelessness and lasting. And even if it's done with something that isn't very good, or if it's done in an area with means that they don't have all the resources, they still put out the best that they can. So I've always been really fascinated with that. And also, I'm a sucker for anime. So it all kind of ties into that, like, just like, going back to the vaporwave thing and the referencing of like, the 80s and the 90s and, all that stuff and smashing it together. Yeah, I just, for the Kit Kat thing, like, yes, I'm very stoked on the idea that they're like, yeah, we're going to do gourmet Kit Kats, and we're going to put out different flavors. And we're going to extensively put out like all these different ones. My personal favorite was like the orange creamsicle one that they kind of have, or the vanilla and orange, But I would love to try any Japanese snack in general, or go into any of these vending machines that they have, because they're obsessed with robotics and all that stuff. Yeah, I would love that, Yeah, so I know I kind of went on a tangent off of Kit Kats, but yeah, I love Japan. Yeah, like a lot.
No, yeah, it's a little bit of trivia I heard from fellow Orlando band .org.
Oh, such a good band.
Right?
Great band. Basically, if Florida had its own Talking Heads and plus more, they're Ian's a genius. He's a little genius. He's great.
Was blown away when we played with them at Falcon. I was like, heard of .org, don't know what it is, what a great name. And then I was like, holy shit. Yeah, he was one of the people who asked about my amp, and I was like, I don't know, but I feel like you know, because, like, you sound like you know. I was like, damn.
He's really good with his riffs. He follow, like, I feel like, I'm not sure, but he follows his influences, and then when he changes it up, he changes everything completely. And the most recent stuff I heard is just extremely, has that like great angular Talking Heads thing going on, and it's really good. Like everything he touches, it's great. Yeah, it's awesome.
He was actually the first person I ever interviewed.
Not really.
Just like about a couple months ago maybe now. He actually told me to reach out to you guys. He said that you guys are super down to earth and you'd probably be super into it.
I don't believe that you've only been interviewing people for a month. Your questions, your research, incredible. The tiny notes, someone has done their shit when they have tiny notes like that. That is how I feel. Tiny notes.
Tiny notes.
Yeah, that's how did you stumble, if I may ask you a question?
No, I asked the questions here. No.
How did you stumble upon .org?
We actually played a show together. Literally the last show I ever played before COVID, took a shit on the world.
Right.
We played Grumpies. We played Grumpies Underground.
Oh, good old Grumpos.
What do you play?
What band are you in?
Yeah.
Who are you? Who's this guy?
Oh, so the tables have turned.
Now
I'm feeling
reviewing who now?
DJ.
Hold on, Sarah, let me get a little notebook. Like, it's
Yeah, Grumpies is great. We've been saying, like, we've played Uncle Lou's, we played Will's. I'm like, we need to get in that in between space. Like, what? And then our friend is
geographically is Grumpies.
Yeah, I mean our friend
I'm gonna
is
take a
DJ
time out.
sets there.
I do have to. I'm gonna exit real quick. Use the bathroom.
Yeah.
feel that.
Pardon me.
I feel that.
Yeah,
Does anyone else need to take a bathroom break?
I kind of do.
No. Okay.
Eventually.
He will come back and relieve you.
Yeah. Our friend has done a bunch of DJ sets at Grumpy's, and I'm like, ooh, like the people who are there are there for the music, like, and it's exciting, and you also just, I don't know, have I mean, I guess you have stragglers and people who will walk by, but even if they don't know the music, they're excited about it. Like, you know how sometimes you might go to a venue and people are like, oh, there's a show, there's a cover, I'm not gonna come in. Like, if you're at Grumpy's, you're there and you're excited. So I really think that's a venue we need to cover. So what is your band? Who?
I'm part of. I'm not looking. I like the window. I just noticed that sign out the corner of my eye. It's kind of.
Before the sun sets at 5:30.
Yeah, right. I'm part of Adam Dive. We're like a noise punk, grunge shoegaze band.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, we played Grumpies with .org, and then when I started doing this, because I've always kind of wanted to do this, and then once COVID happened, I was like, I have all this
Good
time
time
on.
to start.
Yeah.
I have all this time on my hands. I already had Facebook stalked him for like a month. So I waited. I was just like building up the courage, and I was just like, hey, do you like want to do an interview? I've never done this before, and you'd be the first. And he was like, oh yeah, you know Ian. So he was like, oh yeah, dude, yeah, whenever you want to just come over to my little place, just let me know.
Yeah, I mean, that's like Ziggy being nervous about Ben. He was building it up in his head, but it's like, can you imagine being like nervous around Ben?
I don't
You're, like,
intimidate people.
Yeah, like,
I try not to, at least.
yeah, that's so fucking awesome.
So yeah, I interviewed him. Afterwards, he was like, so who else are you planning on interviewing? And I was like, you got any suggestions? And he's like, Sad Halen. Immediately, like, no hesitation, I asked, and he was just like, boom, Sad Halen. So,
Rad.
yeah.
Aw, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the
Nice in
nicest
the
thing.
feels.
Yeah, it really does.
Ye-
That makes me want to play shows again. You know,
Yeah.
when it's safe.
Those were good times.
Yeah,
playing
we're
with .org
gonna
and
blow it out.
They lovely band to play with. And as like as a gear nerd with .org, you know, like I believe Ian is rocking a JC 120, and I think the bass player at the time, the last time I saw him, he has a beautiful Fender Bandmaster. You know, yeah, they have great gear, and it's just kind of, it's cool to see that. And then Ian, you know, he's kind of a gear nerd too, so like we nerd out on stuff as well, but he also loves anime, so it's kind of like we get best of both worlds. You know, I get to talk about like dumb amps, and I get to talk about like, you know, anime with him, and I think he loves Evangelion and Cowboy Bebop is just as much as I do, you know. So yeah, great band. Definitely, if you get a chance, you should check them out at Bandcamp. I don't know if they're on Spotify or anything like that, but definitely worth looking into. Awesome music, you know.
So, sadhalen.org collab when?
We should do
fall 2021.
do a fall.
I'm
It's
just
like a year from now. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, well, you know, we gotta write songs.
No, that's true. Yeah, I mean, a good, like, you know, A-B side.
Yeah, we could do a split.
Yeah, let's do a split.
I don't see
Let's
why
do the
not.
splits.
Let's do the splits.
Yeah, we don't want to pull a hammy though.
Make sure
This
to
is why it's fall 2021. We're stretching.
takes you a while to like warm up,
Yeah.
stretch.
So I missed it. What do you play, and what's your thing? I know the tables had turned earlier, but
no, yeah, it's fine. You guys can ask me questions.
yeah.
I play in Adam Dive, like a post-punk kind of like
that's amazing.
noise band.
Hell yeah. Do you have a guitar of choice that you use, or pedal of choice, or what are you into, dude?
I main a Telecaster, like just a
love a good
shitty
Tele.
beat up Telly.
I love a good beat up telly. There's nothing better than a good beat up telly. They twang, you know, you can put whatever you want through it. It's bright, it's fun, you know. Yeah, and they feel right. It's great shape. I'm a jazz master guy. I like my jazz and jaggies, you know.
I've been meaning to get my dream guitar right now is actually a Jaguar. I've always wanted one.
You know,
just
Squire's making a lot of great stuff right now, and they're keeping up, and they're making. It's kind of like if you want to pay '90s prices for a Fender, but you know it doesn't have the same. It literally, I guess, it's just missing the font. Maybe a different wood, you know. But hey, you know, cool enough.
Yeah, like idolizing Sonic Youth and all those types of bands. I've seen that guitar used. Nirvana with the Mustang. It's just
like Sonic Youth. That was like, for me personally, that was like a band where I was just like, well, I was always really into art growing up, and that was kind of like my attachment to things, and then kind of like the band stuff was always secondary. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was like one of my dumb punk rock friends that his mom owned one of the bars that I played at, and he was just like, like Sonic Youth is like an art punk band, and and being 14 and being like a punk rocker. As soon as you hear art punk and you make art, you're like, oh, those go like you can put those together. And I check them out, and then like have other, the guy like in my first band that I was in, he shows me like, I think the first song he ever showed me was like "Cool Thing," by which was like, we covered that at a show called the 120 Minutes that one of our friends throws on. A little shout out to the Naysayer and Will's Pub, but and so we covered that song in there, and that was kind of like a nice full circle thing. But yeah, that was like my first introduction to like basically like, oh, you can like that feedback thing I like you can just apply that anywhere. Like you can do any, like you could shove, like you can take a baseball bat and grind it on your guitar, and that's like, you can do that. So like I was like, oh, so I can do whatever the fuck I want if I really want to. So that's kind of like another thing that like thrown into like the wheelhouse of like, oh, I can do lo-fi music. I can use an old board from the 70s and daisy chain it in some way into a MIDI, So that's where that's kind of like the direction I want to go back into. It's just kind of like going back into like whatever we want to do, we can do and not worry about it, So I'm really excited about that.
Have you been messing with prepared guitar at all? Like screwdrivers in the strings or nails into your fretboard? Have you done anything like that, or?
I've definitely taken a drumstick and shoved it in between strings before. Not in this band, but in other bands. I've taken basses, and when I was like in a punk band in Elmira, the band was called Illyria at the time. Now there's another band called Illyria, which is like a new metal band. I think if you want to look it up, it's called The Wonders. But yeah, I used to take a bass and I used to smash it into a full cab and like grind it up and make feedback, and we would just be noisy. We would smash our guitars together. Yeah. I was just a bass player in that band, so basically I was just like, facilitating the other person and supporting their role of what they wanted to create. So we would do songs where there would be like extremely annoying high-pitched vocals, where they would sing like Elmo in a way, and
I feel that, yeah.
talking, like very big crowds, and really make an audience feel very uncomfortable, and stuff like that. So like, I'm very used to like alienating people and also making younger people come up to me and being like, oh wow, that was something different, and you kind of opened a door in a way. So like, yeah, both sides of the world.
Yeah, I've noticed. I wanted to kind of ask that if you being so into like noise and like generating such textures and stuff. I noticed the Busch against the bass strings way back when. It was probably just like a one-off thing, but you were using the Busch as kind of like a slide against the bass. I thought that was badass.
You're like Nardwarding this.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Shit. What was that from? When did you do that? Like, I don't even remember this.
I don't even remember that.
It was some.
You do your research.
Yeah, you do. I mean.
Watch out, Bow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, I don't even think I realized until we played that 120-minute show and we did cool things that, like, that was good to, like, play your strings that way. Like, I was just like, these are sacred and I'm only gonna pick them and I'm only gonna pluck them. And then I was just like, there's so much more out there. And then even just like recently, Ziggy and I were jamming at my place, and he's like, you know, you can play with feedback and you can do this. And so, I mean, speaking of sacred, like a Busch against the bass, I think that was probably just like a, you know, like a
Spur of the moment.
Like funny, corny, drunk kitsch thing. But I mean, I'm not against it. You know, for a show, not adverse.
I think
Put that on the record.
I definitely think it's fun to like break up like the whole idea, because at least when I was playing music as like a teenager, that was like the time of when all these screamo bands were happening, all these big emo bands, and they're really like, go back to like the gearhead thing, they're really into like running all these high gain amps, like noise gates. They're very afraid of feedback. Like, feedback was like this haunted ghost that would come back and get them, or like, you know, take them out. They were really into doing transitions without stuff. And then I remember one of those kids, he used to ride some bus that I rode or whatever, and he was a phenomenal drummer. And someone wanted to sign him at some point. It was like a bigger record label, and he didn't do it because his parents wouldn't let him, and he had to think about his future and going to college, you know, and stuff like that. But he showed me this band, which was the same setup and the same chord progressions as these other bands. I can't remember what it was called, but it was basically all the stuff that they're doing without like the noise gating in there and all that. So it's just like all those weird stops would just be like, and it was just like, oh, so you can do it anywhere. Like, it doesn't have to be like weird artsy shit. Like, you can put that anywhere and it'll be awesome as a tool, you know? So yeah, I love noisy stuff. Yeah.
It's fun stuff. Good to hear. The toilet bowl. The toilet bowl in downtown Orlando.
Oh, no.
Tell me, please. I need to know.
I was very drunk, and I was walking home from.
Was this your 30th?
Yeah, it was. Oh, it's my 30th birthday. Yeah.
30-30.
So, weird story. I met a gentleman named Guy, and he was from Australia, and
No more.
basically I was partying, you know, with the band. I got done partying with the band, and then I went out to some bars the next day. And as I was walking home, I met I was just kind of on my own at this point. You know, I had the next day off. I was like greenlit to sleep in. So I was like, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to go on a John adventure. And
Yeah, like this was after I had left him. So
Yeah,
you were
so it's like
Kelly
everyone-
had left.
Kelly, you know, my partner, she had left. The band had left and everything. Like, I'm just on my own, being in my own inebriated state, enjoying downtown Orlando. And I find this drunken Australian man. Coincidentally, I was actually on my way home, and he comes up to me, and I think I just got suckered by the accent. He's just like, "Oi, can you help me find another bar to go to? I don't know anything around it." And like, I'm on the outside of downtown. He hasn't even reached like the center towards like Lizzie McCormick's or all those bars in that area. Now it's just like, yeah, I can do that. Like, I'm that guy. Like, I can definitely help you with that. And then basically, me and this Australian gentleman, we just stumble through all these different places. And then we go to Tangeray's, you know, just because it was the most divey place. And I think it was actually the only place that would let us in at the time. So we went to Tangeray's and we hung out there. We ended up closing out there, and we left there. And then as I was walking home from that, that's when I took that broken toilet bowl picture. And I was very surprised and blown away that the fact that there was like a broken toilet bowl right in the crossing, like in a four-way area. I think it was I think it was like across like some hookah bar or something.
Yeah, no, I had the same reaction. I saw that picture, I saw the caption, and I was like, oh, jot that down, because I need to know, like, what...
The context.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Hot Ones does, like, the, explain this Instagram picture, like, please. Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Guy, Oh, hey, sir. Oh, what's your name? It's Guy. He was the weirdest character.
I love how willing you were to be on your way home, and then this person is like, can you show me some bars? And not only do you show him some bars, like, you go with him. You're not just like, you should go here or here. You're like, okay. like,
And he was
like that.
thrice my size. Thrice my size. He was tall. We're talking like a guy that was like 6'10" and big. Like, he had shoulders and arms and a chest and everything that went with it. He was a large, burly man. He was a very intimidating character. I was just like, whatever, dude. Sounds fun. Because I guess there was, at that point, it was like, well, if this guy wants to hang out, I don't know. I guess I'm safe. It's like hanging out with like a tank or a train at that point, know.
Were you looking for trouble at that point on the eve of your 30th birthday, would you say?
You always have to invite trouble.
Good.
You have to say yes to the adventure, like every time.
Yeah, at a point, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Just like Sarah said, yes, way back when, to play bass, to
Yes.
get into Sad Halen. You say yes to the adventure, right, Ben?
Yep.
Yes. As Amy Poehler has said, and improv has proven, yes, and you don't cut someone off when they have an idea, and I feel like that's what happens in so many other bands, or maybe in so many other aspects of my life. People are just like, or no, or yes, but here, and on the eve of your 30th birthday with that Australian, you said yes, and we're going to Tanqueray's.
Well, at that sentiment, I think we should all take a shot, and Andrew has to take a shot too.
Okay, yeah, maybe that.
Down? Can you do that? Are you gonna be okay with the interview? Like, we don't want to make you uncomfortable. You don't have to say yes to anything.
No, this is totally isn't peer pressure or anything like that.
Well, no,
No, I'm kidding. I'm.
pressure with disclosure. It's just like, well, if you say no,
Do I have to sign like a paper or something? Do you guys have an agreement?
no, we don't have a paper.
Okay, yeah,
That's fine.
that's fine. Yeah, I'll take the shot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we should bring out the tequila.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bringing out the tequila.
You're like, oh god, this interview. What did I do?
Yeah, no, this is
Is this more than you bargained for?
let's just say you guys have tripled like the longest interview I've done at this point.
This has to be like 26 minutes. Please cut us off if you need to. And I hope this will be edited.
No, good.
Okay. Awesome.
No,
that's incredible.
It's like for
Maybe
the
if I just bring out the tequila and
I got
Oh, okay. Do we have more of these like
Oh, we do.
wedding cups? Cheers,
Yeah.
dears. Oh yeah, we'll bring those out too as well. Thank you, Ben. You're a glorious man. Oh, I feel like at this point we're just torturing you, Andrew. Like,
what?
He just said this was triple the time of any interview he's ever done.
oh, I guess we're just entertaining, right? Is that what that means?
No, you guys are great.
A little bit of rambling going on.
Oh yeah, we're having fun.
See-
You're basically having it. You're basically having like this is what we kind of a little more. This is kind of like what we do basically when we hang out. Like not for practices, like we don't do this, but when we're hanging out and kind of trying to come up with ideas, or when me and Sarah are jamming together without Ben, we kind of have like these kind of sessions where we're like, well, we'll have some like drinks, we'll hang out, we'll bullshit, we'll talk about our days, about our weeks,
It's good for the mental health, you know.
All right. Yeah. What else you got for us? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can show you the notes.
No, whatever. Oh no, we ruined him. We broke the interviewer, dude. Shit, this happens every time. So I only have 2 interviews.
No, okay, during the WPRK interview, what I loved is that they wanted to know about the meaning behind Sad Halen, but I feel like
shit. Oh, I can tell that story here without being censored.
exactly this guy I don't think he wasn't
because it's radio.
It is radio.
He wasn't ready for all the
drug reference.
the drug references within that, so
There are drug references. So
We're currently ingesting drugs, so I think that's kind of.
yeah, love alcohol.
Is there more champagne?
Yes, there's definitely more champagne. Pass it along. So,
I love the champagne, by the way. Once you guys said you were like Busch and champagne people, I was like, okay, I'm with the right crowd.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, the Busch, champagne, and expensive tequilas. That's kind of like our thing.
Oh, like I feel like you could have the champagne of beers, but if you just have a cheap beer and a cheap champagne, then that's
It evens out.
Yeah.
that's where you are.
And
That's
then if you
great.
want to be a fancy boy, just get yourself a nice fancy tequila.
Right.
Did you just do like a butterfly motion with your hands? Because that reminds me of Mando the butterfly.
Oh, okay. So nice segue. Really smooth. So Mando actually was found. I was walking. If you look behind you, you know, like there's like a little path around to Target. I was walking down the street right when quarantine and lockdown happened, on my way to Target to get groceries, and in the panic of seeing other people and you know, being basically feeling like socialization is a death curse. As I was walking, I found this injured butterfly, and I instantly bonded with it. And I picked up little dude. And I put him on I was like, okay, man, like, you should be down here because you're going to get eaten. So I put him on a tree, and he was like, no, fuck off, bro. And then just, like, fell onto me. I was like, well, I guess you and I are homies. So I carried this butterfly across the street into my apartment, and then put a bunch of research into, like, figuring out how to feed a butterfly who can't fly, you know. And I think I even went to at some point where I was like, well, maybe I can like reconstruct him wings, but that wasn't gonna happen, obviously, you know. So basically, I just had, I know it's silly, but like, I had an injured butterfly as a pet for a good month, and I think that butterfly lived far longer than a natural butterfly should, you know.
Right, like normally something in captivity, its life is shortened, but you really gave it a bigger life.
Well, they usually say that they live for about like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I feel like I had that butterfly at least for about a month or more, you know.
I just can't believe you were like, this butterfly landed on me. I'm its father now. Okay. All right. Like,
Yeah,
What else can you do?
like,
What else
yeah.
can you do? It's yours.
I remember
you know?
crossing the street too, and I'm just holding this insect who's just kind of like, dude, what are we doing? I'm just like, I don't know. There's a lot of cars. And it's just kind of like, I'm not going to jump off your hand. I guess we're going wherever the fuck you're going. And I was like, yeah, dude, that's it. You, me, cross the street. Let's hope we don't die together. Please do not jump off my hand, because I will not run out for you. And I crossed the street, and I brought him in. I had like these little habitat things I've had made for a long time. And
Wait, you had them pre-made for what?
yeah, I've had like for like, you know, growing different plants. I've had like these little humidity like terrarium things, and I repurposed them just for this bug. And
Right?
yeah, I know it's a very extensive project, but you know, I definitely had time on my hands at the, you know, so it was.
We're both confused. We're
Yeah.
both injured in a way.
But you did what you could with what you had, you know, and that gave that butterfly an awesome life.
Yeah, no, it was super fun. It's great. Like every morning I'd wake up and I'd feed this butterfly like some like rotten fruit or like a sugar syrup solution, and I would convince them to be able to like feed on it and stuff, and we would just hang out, and then you know, and yeah, that's kind of what it did. And
That's the story of Mando.
yeah.
Your heart is just like so huge.
So I noticed.
It happened.
No, it's just
I would do the same thing, honestly.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't, and I don't.
that's honesty. I like that. You wouldn't.
I wouldn't, because it's not like I'm a Darwinism person.
Yeah.
I would just feel like, what can I do? You know, like I think my anxiety is so much of my own survival, and I think that the empathy that y'all are imploring is really beautiful, which is why I said your heart. You know, like you thought, what can I do for you? and I would think, fuck, I can't do anything for this being, you know, like it's hard to think past yourself sometimes. But I think what you did in that time, that's really beautiful, you know.
R.I.P. Mando. Rest in power. Rest in power, baby. Rest in power. You know.
You had a good life, man.
Great life. I'm gonna turn on the light and warm up the room a bit.
Please do.
Yeah, it's getting a little dark. It's getting a little dreary. So let's make it a little more warm. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I feel
Yellow.
what has been great about, like, you know, this daylight savings time is just like all these bats flying by this window.
No way.
Oh, so many. Even when we're out on this porch, you can see them fly like past that building to the left of us and really swoop by.
It's really depleted the mosquito population around here, which makes hanging out and having stoop beers way more appealing. So it's nice to have this like ecological response to our hangs.
Yeah. I see the bats, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Ecological response.
We didn't do it. We don't do anything to further it, but
I mean, the building provides a home for them.
Yeah.
Wait, you have bats living.
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, they have to be above here or something because they're like always right by this window.
Yeah, I don't know where the bats come from, but they provide a safe space for me, so it's kind of nice.
Okay. I mean, you provide a safe space for them.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
And they provide you with no mosquitoes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and
Mutually beneficial.
I used to get bit up a lot hanging outside. Now I don't. Thanks, bats.
You said mutually beneficial. Could I maybe say, and like up the ante here, like symbiotic?
Ooh, that's quite nice. I think
what I
that's
was
all right.
thinking.
I'll symbiose with some bats. Hell yeah.
I mean, I think I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm sad because they're right next to us. There's that field, and they locked the gate. So like, there's that parking lot. You used to be able to walk right through there and come through that gate and come around instead of going around the building. But if we could use that field and build even like a bat house or something, because there's so many bats around here, that would be a great use. I don't know why they locked that gate.
Have you like parkoured across the buildings at all?
No, I haven't. I've definitely daydreamed about it, but one, I'm not that athletic. Two, these buildings are old and I could fall through the floor. So, yeah.
Be in someone's tattoo session, like, or someone's like hair braiding session, and then just be like,
Hey, I'm here now. Oh yeah.
Basically, it's like, hi, I'm Ziggy from Sad Halen. Lovely to meet you. Got any water? And you're just covered in drywall soot and such. And you're just like, it's been fun. It's been a lovely time.
that's something that Donald Glover would write, and you would walk out and you'd be like, okay.
Wait, did you watch Derek Comedy at all?
Yeah. Yo. Like, it's like the bro rape, like just his old sketches.
That was pretty funny. I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, my boyfriend has showed me so many.
Your boyfriend.
All our boyfriend.
All our boyfriends.
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, so I only know Ziggy because of my boyfriend that I met at Lizzie's, and then they were together at Lizzie's, and I was there, and I met Ziggy, and then he was like, be my art manager, and I was like, I'm gonna be your bassist.
Okay.
So,
But yeah, like, if it wasn't for Val, I wouldn't know.
when
Ziggy or that.
when I first moved to Orlando, her current boyfriend, he was my first like friend that took me under his wing, if you will, for hanging out. And basically, I would just walk down South Orange or whatever, or Church Street, where the hell that area is, and I would just like look for like bars that look kind of like a little divey, a little mangled, a little approachable. And I saw this group of kids hanging out, and they just looked like the coolest kids ever. And I was just like, well, shit, how the fuck do I talk to those dudes? And so I, march into this bar by myself with no confidence at all. And I sit next to them. And Valdemir, actually, her boyfriend, noticed that like I really, really wanted to like talk to them and hang out. I was just too drunk. There was no way I would be able to be like, oh hey, let's hang out, talk about things we both have in common.
It's harder to make friends, I think, than it is to like approach someone romantically with an interest, because it's hard to let people know that you are just interested in like platonically. You're just being like, hey, I'm new, or hey, you know, like without being
coming on too strong,
right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was just like, hey man, I want to hang, and I couldn't do that basically. And he kind of saw that or whatever, and I think he wanted to talk to me. And then, I left, and it was already too late. And then the next day, he came up to me and was like, hey man, I saw you out the other night. I wanted to talk to you. And then I was just like, oh yeah, man, like I want to talk to you too, but blah blah blah. And then after that, it was just kind of like we were sewn in. Like that was like my dude I would hang out with, and that was like my introduction to a lot of people that I met. Honestly, if it wasn't for that little like chance encounter, I probably would have met Sarah and Ben, and been doing all the other things, because he also has friends who play in other punk bands around in the area, who play at Lou's. And so like that chance encounter at that bar actually kind of sparked a lot of that stuff too. So that was like
knew each other from like biking.
Yeah, I met Val over 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a very accepting person, and it's like I have trouble making friends a lot of times, and he's just a very open person. It's like somebody I gravitate toward. He's real and open.
I was more willing to go out and be explorative and see things now. Now that I'm older, I'm still the same, but like it's more like I'm not really trying to score up friendships in that way, in the same way. More about experiences and indulging in and like local customs and cultures and everything like that.
So less networking, more memory, like experience based.
I would say like networking for me with other artists and even engineers and people like that are more based on like the feels, the friendships and things like that, as opposed to trying
to be cool.
Yeah, trying to be cool and things like that, and stuff like ego-driven things. It's more about like just hanging out and feeling comfortable at this point in time.
Isn't that kind of like what life is all about?
I'd say so. I would say like it's more about relaxing and being able to be relaxed in situations where you want to be creative.
How does capitalism kind of influence that? Have you guys thought about that relationship between capitalism and just being able to establish relationships without monetary influence, without networking influences, just kind of like being able to live life and not have to worry about how am I going to keep this light on that's making everything so warm?
Yeah. I mean, we all have like jobs outside of this band, and I think we've all known that's a constant. We know that we want to tour, we want to make great records, we want to have great relationships in our community and like lift people up, but we're not looking to like have this band as like our only source. And so I think that like we're just happy like creating things that are good like outside of our other things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So.
Yeah.
I would second that. Like, this band is not a source of income for any of us.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we've never made.
We've lost money,
Yeah.
but it's a creative outlet, and it's a good time, and it's affirmation of life. It's like I always tell people
So good.
I work to finance my lifestyle.
Yeah.
I work to finance my lifestyle, and so this band is part of my lifestyle. And it's like so many people get lost in trying to make money. It's like you got to look around and experience things. It's like, yeah, we all have to do what we do, but I feel like when we're together, we exist outside of the capitalist bubble. Like we we're not in it to make money.
But yeah, basically all that stuff just fuels what we're currently doing. Like any job that I take on that I do make money just ends up getting wrapped up back in this. And then, there's also like, life things that I need to do with that money, but a lot of it just really feeds all of this, That's kind of where it's at. And if there was a point in time where the band could get money, it would literally just go back into it would just go back into the band. It wouldn't really go back into us. And I don't think there would ever be a point where, we're not gonna be like driving Ferraris or anything, but it would definitely just feed getting more gear or replacing strings or, repairing amps, if anything.
Or having time to make a record.
I think a lot of that, just has to do with that stuff, So that's kind of how I feel about having to do like capitalistic things. It's like that stuff is a necessary evil to fuel my other creative projects, But I still have to do it. But I try to do things that make me happy, as opposed to doing things that make me miserable.
Fueling your lifestyle, like Ben was saying.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I wanted my friends to use my lyrics. I just wanted people to hear what I had to say. I never, and I mean, I have worked with friends that have and written songs and stuff with them before, and that has never given me any revenue. But when I've heard those things, I'm like, holy shit, that's my, I wrote that for an EP, or I wrote that's fucking cool. And that's how I feel with this band, is that I've always just wanted people to hear what I had to say, and the fact that I get to work with my friends on what we all have to say is, and that the community, without a lot of output or marketing or advertising, however you even do that for a local band, that we've gotten a response as far as booking and promoting, it is pretty fucking cool that people
that's huge.
That we've been on bills with local bands that we super respect is pretty fucking cool.
Do you feel like there is a barrier to entry? Do you feel like there's some sort of block between certain bands that don't have as much? You've said fuck clout chasers before, right?
Who?
You've said fuck clout chasers, but isn't...
Damn, yeah.
Do you feel like there is a bit of a barrier to entry, for bands that don't have any clout? You know what I'm saying? A band that has 100 followers on Instagram versus 1,000 followers on Instagram,
It's about motivation. It's about, you can tell who's trying to make clout.
Yeah.
And, that is hollow. Who cares how many followers you have on Instagram? If you have something to say, there are people in this town who will back you, who will work with you. If you show up on time and are not a dick, people will work with you.
That's so important, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, showing up early, and I know it's intimidating to be a new band and show up early before anyone's there, and it's kind of scary because you're hanging out with the bar staff and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" But
you can't use your drink tickets yet. Get the fuck out of our face.
Fuck off! Go away. Yeah. Stop annoying me. I'm a bartender. I'm trying to set up for the day. But it's so important that you do that and keep your head down and in a way, you can be loud, you can be obnoxious with your advertising, but when you're working, be respectful of the venue that you're at. Be respectful of the bartenders that are around you. Don't try to be this guy. Don't try to be
Don't take the persona off the stage.
Yeah,
is all.
Keep that shit. Keep the John Wayne bad reference on the stage. Don't be a jackass.
Is that ironic because you're John Wayne Zagilla?
Burn. But oh, got him.
Damn.
But try to keep all the ego thing for the performance. If you get too messed up and you act like a total jackass off stage, that happens. But don't be rude, mean and bitter to the people that are facilitating the venue that they're giving you. Don't be a dick to the sound guy. Don't go out of your way to nitpick everything that you have, especially if you're a new band. Just try to enjoy yourself, be happy where you're at.
I mean, is there a little bit of gatekeeping in this scene? I think absolutely. It is hard to book shows if you don't know people who know people who know people, but I think the great thing about us is that we've all just like how we know Val, we know someone who's very genuine, who is interested in the project itself, and is hopefully that person that knows you is also genuine, is a friend. I knew Marshall from Montgomery Drive, and he was like, you're in a project? Yeah, I'm gonna put you on. And that's super helpful. Maybe if I didn't know him, it might have been harder to get onto those shows. So yeah, I do think that if you might not know someone and you're just starting out, you might play somewhere, or you might, it might be harder to gain access to those venues. But I hope that, especially after COVID-19 in these times, we're able to open up and broaden our horizons as far as who we know and who we play with, and not be so genre specific as far as well, we're all shoegaze bands, or we're all this,
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think that sometimes in Orlando it can be who you know, or who you've played in before.
Yeah.
So that can happen.
I can agree with that. We're at least I think that's kind of everywhere where you go, there's always gonna be someone who's oh well, I'm the head honcho, and I get to pick who plays these gigs, and at certain points that's understandable, but also at other points it's kind of annoying.
But I don't think that I don't mean for that to take away from us and what we do, or who anyone books. You know what I mean? I think that if you're good, you're great. And then
knowing people can definitely get you heard.
Yeah.
But I feel like Orlando is a town where if you don't know anybody, you can book Uncle Lou's. I mean, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
of course.
You can book
definitely.
Rumpies.
There's
Our first
so much
show was
opportunity.
Coffins at with Christian.
Yeah, our first show we paid to put on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
All this pay to plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was a
Worth it.
venue,
Yeah.
so we put the show on at the venue. And we had our friends out, and people liked it.
Yeah.
So we're like, yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep pushing forward. And I feel the thing about Orlando too is there's it's a ton of opportunity. Before COVID, I went to the Detroit, and I was actually trying to find a show on a Sunday, and there was no shows on Sunday in Detroit. And I'm in the downtown area of the city, and I was like, wait, there's no I'm in a big city, and I'm in downtown, and it's Sunday, and there's no show. And they're like, yeah, dude, there's no show. And I was just well, if I was in Orlando, there would
there'd
be
be
a
something.
show
Yeah,
on Sunday.
There'd be something happening.
So there's a lot to Orlando that a lot of people don't see. So I think that's really important. It doesn't look like a big city, that much, but there is definitely a lot availability and a lot of accessibility to shows, to art, to all kinds of things in this area that a lot of people don't understand. It's not just theme parks, there's a lot to it,
just gotta-
which is amazing. Yeah.
You have to put the work in, and you have to have something that gets attention. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You can obviously pre-COVID, you could book a show, and maybe 15, 20 people show up. But if you make an impression, those 15, 20 people will tell people about that.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I only moved here about 5-6 years ago, and so it's even knowing someone who has any sort of clout at venue, you're only really 1 degree away from that person. So playing a show and then just being cool as fuck and talking to the people who are at that show, like you're gonna know someone who knows someone, and so that's why it's not like, you know, entirely like gatekeeping or something, you know, but just networking in the way where you just like get your foot in the door and you like talk to the people who are at your show.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be able to just like, maybe those people are also in a band, you know, and then be like, whoa, we should play. Like that's happened so many times. I feel like at so many shows that we've played before.
You kind of run in the same circles, and you know, just be a good person and hang out, and something will happen.
Yeah, if you're not staying for the other bands, like
Yeah, that's a big thing too.
don't show up.
Yeah.
That's a weird move, for sure.
Yeah, like every show we've had, whether it's local bands that, you know, we're playing with or touring acts that we're opening for, like I'm excited to play the show.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the other bands that are playing the show. And it's like I hype up the show beforehand as much as I can with my limited circle. And it's just like I'm thrilled to be there. It's what I want to do.
Well, shit, Andrew, I think at this point you should probably sit with us on the couch. You know.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Do you have any more questions?
Death never smelled so
Good.
good. Olive oil spray used to kill a wasp. Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Would you?
Oh man, you are like an artist. That's crazy. Yeah, I used olive oil spray out of an aerosol can to kill a wasp, and it actually worked really well, and it smelled amazing. Yeah, it was delightful.
So it's effective.
It is quite effective actually, and it's natural, and I imagine it doesn't have any like too many bad things for the earth.
Yeah, I noticed you were using like all natural, like home good or like Trader Joe's type stuff.
I'm pretty much into trying not to pollute as much as I can. I still mess up like anyone else, you know, but I try to keep everything like as biodegradable as one can, you know. I'm not amazing. I'm not like a crazy biodegradable guy or you know, yeah, I'm not too good at it, but I do my best. I try, yeah.
And with that, I think that's literally all I have. Oh, the goats.
I love little baby goats.
What is up with that?
What is up with that?
So basically, you know, the love of my life, my partner, we're both really into farm animals and donkeys and
Have you ever
goats.
done yoga?
Yes, but we love baby goats. We love donkeys. We love ostriches. Any wild farm animal, really, chickens, cows of certain varieties. That we totally enjoy them a lot.
Incredible.
Yeah, I think that's it. Is that it?
I think that's it.
Wow.
You were a visual media artist, and that's all I want to touch on because
All right, we go.
No, I was super interested in it because now I'm literally surrounded with it.
Yeah.
You were like a visual media artist before you, not before, but you said it was like more of a focus before like being in a band, right?
Yeah, I was always in a band, and I was always doing visual media stuff for like other bands
Yeah.
at the time, like in upstate New York, and I was personally like drawing for myself. I was hanging out with people who were in really pristine colleges and working for different magazines of high caliber, like NME and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And and you know. I just don't do it anymore. So,
But you downloaded like an offshoot version of Vector, right?
yes, I did.
That was me.
Oh, you.
Oh no, that was her.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I did that, and I haven't procured any more skills from that.
Mhm.
So that's where Sad Halen is with that endeavor.
Yeah. We're just doing what we want to do.
You're just doing what you want to do, and that is
Yeah.
Sad Halen,
Yeah.
from what I've gathered from.
Do what I want, Dad.
Right.
And with that, I think
Do
that.
you want to join us on the couch just to end the interview?
Can I squeeze in?
Yeah, squeeze in.
Squeeze in, please. Oh, Andrew.
This
Oh,
is.
We love you. You're so
Yeah.
You smell really good.
Whoa!
Wow.
What?
Yeah. You smell great.
What do you mean?
Dude, what kind of Yankee Candle does he smell like?
Oh shit! How did you know?
Midnight Summer.
Close. I think it's like. It's fall. My girlfriend loves candles.
I love candles as well.
No, Ziggy used to work at Yankee Candle. He gave me an entire
It's true. It's a
What?
real
an
thing.
entire
Yeah.
semester's worth of like just
I
like
know so much.
theologies
Oh, it's there.
worth of like how to burn a candle, the way that when
What?
you put out
Yeah.
you need to cut the wick, you need to make sure it doesn't
Yes.
tunnel.
What?
You need to
Yeah.
make sure it doesn't tunnel in the middle. It needs to burn evenly.
It's like a real thing.
This
It's a
yeah.
thing.
Okay, wait. Can I tell you something that I think I was kind of proud of myself for today?
Absolutely, please share.
Please do. Please do.
I lit a match
Oh, you lit a match.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
and I burned a triple wick candle with the one match.
Wow.
Oh! You lit all 3 wicks.
All 3 wicks.
Congrats.
Three-
Congrats. Even burn.
Wait,
Even
3
burn.
wicks, 1 match.
3 wicks.
I would watch that video.
I sadly didn't take a video of it.
Yeah,
Oh.
I would watch
Well, you know, that's a bit of a loss, but
I'm sorry. You want to take my word for it?
it. I
But
do.
I believe you. I believe you.
I believe you.
it sings my fingertips. So
Oh,
What
see,
was
that's
the
how you
scent
know
of
it's
the candle?
good.
What was the scent? What was it?
Yeah, what was it? It was like a cinnamon. You know, did it have like a clove thing?
Was it autumnal? Was it pumpkin?
the one in my workspace is pumpkin.
Ooh, okay.
The one in the living room, I think, is autumnal. I
Oh.
don't know what the exact smell is,
Who doesn't love a good audible? You know.
right?
Honestly.
And with that, I'm on the other side of the couch, or the barrier now.
Yeah, you've broken the barrier.
Yeah.
Who's interviewing who now?
Wait. Well, can we just say I just want to go outside with my head off on 3, and then that'll be like the end of it?
I want to go outside with my head off.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, sure.
All right. And we're
Wait. 1, 2, 3, go, or 1, 2, say it.
Can we
one,
talk
two,
about-
1, 2, 3. Say it.
Okay.
Okay.
I just 1, 2, 3.
I just wanna go outside with my head off.
I like pumpkin pie.